The movie begins with a teenage girl, Tessa, arriving at college accompanied by her boyfriend, Noah, and her mother, Carol. After reassuring her mother, Tessa bids them farewell, embarking on this new chapter of her life. On her first day of college, Tessa meets a boy named Landon, and they quickly develop a close friendship. Later, after taking a shower, Tessa enters her room to dress and discovers an unknown boy, Hardin, seated there. Assuming he is her roommate's boyfriend, she asks her roommate, Steph, to have him leave so she can get dressed. She is then informed that Hardin is Steph's friend. This marks the initial encounter between the story's hero and heroine. The next day, Tessa sees Hardin for the second time at a coffee shop and finds herself unable to look away from him. That night, Steph takes Tessa to a party. They begin to play Truth or Dare. Molly, who has a romantic interest in Hardin, deduces from Tessa's conversation that she is still a virgin. To escape the uncomfortable exchange, Tessa chooses Dare, which requires her to kiss Hardin. She leaves without completing the dare, prompting everyone to mock Hardin for being ignored by a girl for the first time. To avoid the crowd, Tessa enters a separate room where Hardin appears. He flirts with her and attempts to kiss her, but Tessa once again asserts her boundary and leaves. During an English literature class, the teacher initiates a discussion on a novel. Hardin expresses his disdain for love, claiming it is merely a game of desires. Tessa strongly disagrees with his viewpoint, leading to an argument between the two right there in the classroom. Landon later informs Tessa that his mother and Hardin's father are dating, and he cautions her to steer clear of Hardin, describing him as a very troubled person. At a coffee shop, Tessa spots Hardin again. This time, he approaches her to initiate a conversation. Hardin extends a gesture of friendship, fully attempting to charm Tessa, and succeeds in doing so. He then takes Tessa to a picturesque lake nestled among the woods. While swimming, the two share their first beautiful kiss. Afterward, as they dine at a restaurant, Tessa tries to learn more about Hardin by asking him questions. However, his double-meaning answers prevent her from gaining much insight. At that moment, Molly and Jace arrive. Upon seeing them, Hardin begins to act completely unfamiliar with Tessa, behaving as if nothing had ever transpired between them. Upset, Tessa leaves the restaurant in anger. The following day, after class, Tessa is surprised to find Noah waiting there for her. That night, Tessa goes to a party with Noah. Hardin spots them and becomes intensely jealous. During a game, Zed attempts to kiss Tessa. He persists even when Tessa clearly shows discomfort. Witnessing this, the hero, Hardin, intervenes to rescue his heroine by brutally assaulting Zed. After Noah falls asleep, Tessa receives a message from Landon and immediately goes to his house. There, Tessa learns that Hardin caused a huge scene upon hearing about his father's impending marriage and mentioned Tessa's name during the outburst, which is why Landon called her. Hardin is furious about his father's wedding because his father had treated his mother terribly and is now starting a new life seemingly without consequence. Tessa tries to stop Hardin from drinking more, but he smashes the bottle. While Tessa is picking up the glass shards, her hand gets cut. Seeing her injury, the hero's heart softens. Hardin immediately rushes to stop Tessa and takes her to a room to bandage her hand. Inside the room, their moment intensifies and they end up sleeping together. The next morning, when Tessa remembers Noah, she rushes to him. She is just beginning to explain the situation when Hardin appears behind her. Tessa doesn't need to say anything more. Noah understands everything and breaks up with her before leaving. Tessa is heartbroken and initially refuses to speak to Hardin. After days of distress, Tessa finally goes to see Hardin. She tells him that her father left her and her mother when she was just 10. Her mother worked tirelessly and Tessa supported her. It was Noah who supported Tessa and she feels deeply guilty for what she did to him. Tessa further explains that Noah is her best friend, but what she feels for Hardin cannot be expressed in words. This marks the beginning of an amazing and sweet teenage love story. Tessa and Hardin start spending more and more time together, trying to understand each other. One day, while they are engaged in a romantic moment in the room, Tessa's mother suddenly walks in. She demands that Tessa break up with Hardin immediately. However, as the saying goes, when a person is in love, they forget everything, good or bad. This is what happened to Tessa. For the first time in her life, she refuses to obey her mother, and in doing so, she loses her mother after having already lost her best friend. All of this is because of Hardin. As Tessa's mother leaves, she severs all ties with Tessa, only telling her that Hardin will break her heart. Landon warns Tessa again not to get too attached to Hardin. He is shocked that Tessa could abandon her mother for Hardin, but Tessa is in love and believes that only Hardin is right for her. Hardin takes Tessa to his father's friend's apartment, as the friend is currently out of the country. They plan to live there comfortably for the entire year. Tessa's mother leaving her because of him weighs heavily on Hardin. He knows he has to do something. Hardin manages to increase his respect in Tessa's eyes and further solidify his place in her heart. Tessa becomes convinced that prioritizing him was absolutely the right decision. They live together, and their love for each other only intensifies day by day. They see nothing but each other. Hardin begins to comply with all of Tessa's wishes. At her urging, he attends his father's reception party. There, he reveals to Tessa that his father was an addict who never treated his mother well. One day, his father got into a fight with some people at a club who came to their house seeking revenge. Only 8-year-old Hardin and his mother were home at the time. Despite Hardin's best efforts, he couldn't save his mother from the brutal assault by those men. Since that day, he has deeply hated his father. Tessa takes Hardin to dance to comfort him. When they return home, Tessa takes their relationship to the next level by losing her virginity to Hardin. At college, Tessa encounters Molly, whose face clearly shows how jealous she is of Tessa and Hardin's relationship. That night, Tessa sees messages from Molly on Hardin's phone. Hardin offers no explanation, simply asks her to trust him, and then leaves. Afterward, Tessa receives a message from Zed asking her to meet if she wants to know the truth about Hardin. When Tessa meets Zed, she is taken to Landon's location, where Molly shows her a video. The video is from the party where Tessa refused to kiss Hardin. In it, Hardin takes a dare in front of everyone, promising to make Tessa fall in love with him and then break her heart. Tessa is devastated. The ground falls out from under her feet. The person for whom she gave up everything does not love her, but was merely fulfilling a dare. Hardin tries to convince Tessa not to believe Molly. He attempts to explain that this was all before he truly knew her and that he now loves her immensely. However, the shock is too great. Tessa can no longer trust Hardin and walks away. Tessa returns to her mother's house and apologizes to her. Following this, she goes back to college and focuses solely on her studies. One day, Tessa's literature professor stops her and hands her Hardin's research paper, stating that she believes he wrote it for Tessa. In the paper, Hardin writes about how his life and he himself changed after meeting Tessa. He loves her deeply and cannot live without her. He is deeply ashamed of everything he did to Tessa, but his feelings for her are absolutely pure. He hopes that Tessa will forgive him one day. A month after Tessa and Hardin's breakup, Tessa begins a new chapter in her life, starting an internship at Vance Publishing. On her first day, Tessa has a cute introduction with her co-worker, Trevor. Later, Kimberly shows Tessa her office. While cleaning it up, Tessa falls asleep working late into the night. She wakes up to find her boss, Christian, sitting in front of her. Impressed with her work, he asks her to accompany him. Christian, Kimberly, Trevor, and Tessa attend a conference. Kimberly is busy doing a presentation. Then, they all go to a nightclub where Tessa and Trevor, attempting to impress a client, drink excessively. Not being in her senses, Tessa goes to dance and begins kissing a stranger, mistakenly believing him to be Hardin. Meanwhile, Hardin goes to a party where Molly tries to seduce him. Hardin pushes her down and leaves. Just then, Tessa calls him. She is heavily intoxicated and talking nonsense. Hardin becomes extremely worried about her, but Tessa ignores him and goes to a hotel with Trevor. They are talking when Tessa accidentally spills a drink on Trevor's clothes. On the other side, Hardin reaches the hotel looking for Tessa. Tessa is busy cleaning Trevor's clothes. When Tessa opens the door upon Hardin's knock, he sees Trevor without clothes, misunderstands the situation, angrily throws Trevor out of the room, and then he and Tessa share a romantic moment. The next morning, Tessa regrets their encounter, realizing she was drunk the night before. Trevor tells Tessa that he knows Hardin because Hardin was interning in Tessa's current position last year. The scene shifts to Hardin, who tells Landon that he loves Tessa like crazy and has never felt this way for anyone before. Tessa goes to Hardin's apartment to collect some of her belongings. Hardin and his mother arrive, as Hardin hadn't told her about the breakup. Hardin's mother sees Tessa and asks her to stay the night since it is her birthday soon. Tessa cannot refuse. That night, during a conversation, Tessa discovers that when Hardin's parents separated, Hardin and his mother lived at Christian's house for some time. Neither Christian nor Hardin had mentioned this to her. Tessa is deeply touched seeing Hardin care for his mother. Since they only have one room, they share it, and unable to control their feelings once again, they become intimate. The next morning, when Tessa arrives at her mother's house, she finds Noah at the door. From him, she learns that Tessa's father had come to see her, but her mother sent him away empty-handed. Tessa is very upset to hear this. Angry at her mother, Tessa goes to Hardin and hugs him. That night, Hardin has a nightmare of the same scene where his father's enemies broke into the house and raped his mother. He wakes up terrified and Tessa comforts him. The next day, Hardin's mother talks to Tessa about the entire incident, telling her that Hardin went through a very difficult time, but things started to get better when Tessa came into his life. The two of them begin to grow close again, spending more and more time together. Before leaving, Hardin gives Tessa a Christmas gift a week early, which she loves. He assures her that he will never give up on their relationship because he cannot live without her. Hardin's father calls his mother and invites her for Christmas. Hardin's mother goes to the party with Hardin and Tessa. Her mother says that a long time has passed and they should move on. Everyone at the party greets each other warmly and enjoys themselves. However, Hardin dislikes seeing his father enjoying himself with his new family, seemingly having forgotten everything. He drinks heavily and then announces to everyone that he is moving to London to be with his mother after graduation. Tessa is upset to hear this sudden news. Hardin finds everyone's normal reaction strange and starts being disrespectful to his father. He even raises his hand to hit him. Seeing this, his mother angrily leaves the party, telling Hardin that she hasn't forgotten anything either, but she forgave his father to move on in her life and be happy. She warns him that his anger will consume Tessa as well. When Hardin and Tessa arrive home, they don't speak about the incident. The next day, Tessa goes to work and confides in Trevor, which helps to ease her mind. Trevor tells her that he is moving to Seattle to manage Christian's new office. He also tells Tessa that things between her and Hardin won't end well. Tessa tells him he is wrong. When Tessa comes home, Hardin is acting normal, and they set everything aside and resume their good relationship. Tessa agrees to go to a party with Hardin and his old friends, setting aside the fact that Molly will be there, as Tessa wants to put all old things behind her and be happy with Hardin. At the party, Hardin meets James, the person he made the original bet with, and apologizes to him. Tessa finds Hardin and starts to head home with him, but stops when Molly provokes her. Everyone gathers around. Tessa and Molly spare no opportunity to belittle each other. Enraged by Molly's words, Tessa attacks her. An extreme fight breaks out between them. Hardin intervenes and takes Tessa away into a room. Tessa goes to the washroom. Hardin sees messages from Trevor on her phone and gets angry. Without saying anything, he goes downstairs. Tessa follows and overhears a conversation between James and Hardin, which makes her misunderstand the situation and suspect that Hardin is cheating on her. Hardin tries to explain, but nothing works, and Tessa leaves. The next morning, Tessa does not find Hardin at home and calls him, but his phone is off. Hardin, having left his phone at home, finds it and the charger and calls Tessa. While answering the call, Tessa gets into a car accident. Hardin rushes to the scene and sees her, but the ambulance takes Tessa away before he can do anything. Landon angrily goes to Hardin's house and argues with him. Just then, Hardin calls Tessa and Trevor answers, telling Hardin that if he truly loves Tessa, he should leave her alone because staying with Hardin will only bring Tessa sorrow. Hardin takes this seriously and genuinely leaves for London. Before he goes, he leaves a letter for Tessa explaining his entire situation. Tessa and Hardin are now separated and suffering as they truly love each other and cannot live without one another. Hardin's mother advises him that he cannot run away from relationships or live in the past. She also tells him that she has moved on and is dating someone. She tells Hardin to go and apologize to Tessa so that everything can be fixed, as it would be best for both of them. At Christian's party, Christian proposes to Kimberly. Seeing this, Tessa becomes emotional and misses Hardin. Trevor tells Tessa that he told Hardin to stay away from her, but he doesn't have the courage to tell her that he likes her. Just then, Tessa sees Hardin standing in the distance. Seeing him, she leaves the party. Hardin follows her, and without saying anything, Tessa takes him and leaves in a cab. Trevor watches them go, holding his love for Tessa in his heart. Upon returning home, Tessa and Hardin meet Tessa's father. Tessa's father comes to their house to see her. Hardin is not happy about this but remains silent. At the dinner table, Tessa's father tells her that he tried hard to contact Tessa, but her mother foiled all his attempts. Hardin later privately offers Tessa's father money to leave, but he says he has not come to take money from Tessa but to spend some time with her. At the university, Hardin overhears Tessa and Landon talking. Tessa has been offered a job in Seattle by Christian, which she has accepted, and she is planning to move there. Upon returning home, Hardin goes out for a drink with Tessa's father to bond with him. The next day, Tessa's father says goodbye and leaves. Afterward, Hardin and Tessa start discussing the Seattle issue again. Tessa asks Hardin to come with her, but Hardin says Tessa will have a job there, but he will have nothing. Tessa says he will have her, but Hardin angrily refuses. At the office, Christian offers them to stay with him until they find a place to live. Before leaving, Tessa and Hardin go on a trip with Hardin's dad's family. Landon advises Tessa to go to Seattle and fulfill her dreams, which she has wanted since childhood. If Hardin truly loves her, he will make things work. When they all arrive at a restaurant for lunch, Hardin meets his friend, Lily, but doesn't properly introduce her to Tessa. This makes Tessa feel insecure and she starts talking to Robert, a waiter who approaches their table. Seeing them talking, Hardin becomes jealous and immediately approaches Tessa. That night, the couple spends a wonderful time in a hot tub. However, they end up fighting over Trevor. Tessa leaves with the waiter and Hardin leaves with his friend. The next day, Hardin sees Tessa with Robert and starts a fight. Tessa tells him to trust their relationship. Hardin pulls out Robert's number and places it in front of Tessa. The problem worsens instead of being resolved. Because of all this, Tessa leaves for Seattle without meeting Hardin again. When Hardin comes home, he sees that Tessa has packed all her belongings and left. He becomes very sad. Tessa is also in a distressed state. Hardin finds Tessa's diary, in which she has written about her feelings. Hardin feels terrible reading it, realizing how heartbroken Tessa was because of him, while all he wanted was for Tessa to be happy. Tessa arrives at Christian's house. Seeing her so broken, Christian encourages her. Tessa begins her new life in Seattle, but her heart is still with Hardin. She waits for Hardin to contact her, but when he doesn't, Tessa finally calls Hardin herself. Hearing a girl's voice in the background, Tessa immediately hangs up. Hardin calls back and clarifies that the girl is only his trainer. The two put their fight behind them and talk nicely, feeling at peace. That night, Hardin has a dream where Tessa is getting very close to Robert, and Hardin is powerless to stop them. This dream frightens Hardin intensely, causing him to rush to Seattle to see Tessa the very next day. Tessa is overjoyed to see Hardin. The two go to the room and Hardin gives Tessa her diary, apologizing for every action of his. Kimberly tells Tessa that relationships are complicated, but if two people genuinely love each other, they will go to any length to save their love, and she is confident that Hardin and Tessa will do anything to save theirs. Tessa expected Hardin to mention his mother's wedding after their call, but Hardin doesn't bring it up. Tessa is still concerned about why Hardin is hiding it from her one last time. Fed up, she brings it up herself before he leaves. Hardin tells her that it is not important and he is not going to the wedding, so he didn't mention it to her. Hardin returns to Seattle for a party thrown by Christian, where he tells Tessa that he is moving to Seattle for 2 months. Tessa is ecstatic and kisses him. Christian advises Hardin not to miss his mother's wedding, as it will be a huge day for her. Following Christian's advice, Hardin goes to London with Tessa for his mother's wedding. That night, Hardin suddenly wakes up. When he goes downstairs to get water, he sees his mother being intimate with Christian. His eyes widen in shock. He is so furious that Tessa can't even console him. Anyone would be troubled seeing their mother intimate with another person the night before her wedding. The night passes, and the next day, Hardin's mother gets married. Hardin and Tessa are unsure how to react. Tessa learns that Kimberly knew about everything a long time ago, but kept quiet because she loves Christian and his son. The shock deepens as Kimberly is now pregnant. Then, Hardin and Tessa learn something even more shocking. Hardin is actually Christian's son. This truth was only known to Kimberly and Christian until now. Both Hardin and Tessa are beyond shocked. Tessa immediately goes to Hardin, who is in shock and cries, hugging Tessa. In the previous installments of the After movie series, we saw a lot of drama in the love life of Hardin and Tessa. However, they never gave up on each other. In the last part, Hardin discovers that his real father is actually Christian, his dad's friend. This is why Christian always supported Hardin and his mom. This revelation completely turns Hardin's world upside down. Knowing the truth, Hardin rushes to his mother's wedding event, where his mother is speechless and has no words to offer him. Hardin then goes off to drink, and Tessa gives him space by sitting far away. Christian approaches Hardin, trying to explain the situation. Christian tells him that at one point, he and Hardin's dad were like brothers. However, Hardin's dad succeeded in winning his mom's heart, even though Christian loved her too. Later, Hardin's dad became so busy with work that Hardin's mom went to Christian for emotional support. During this emotional moment, they didn't realize when she became pregnant. Fearing the truth, they never told Hardin's dad and let things continue as they were. However, Hardin's dad had his suspicions. This is what led him to become a drug addict, and Hardin's entire childhood was ruined. Hearing all this, Hardin angrily storms off. Tessa goes out to look for him. Hardin is lost in thought, remembering a past moment where his dad was furious at him for accepting anything from Christian, even raising a hand against him. In the present, Tessa finds him. Hardin, being out of his senses, not only treats Tessa rudely, but also breaks a lock to his mom's house and sets it on fire. Before he can get into any more trouble, Christian arrives, gets him and Tessa out of there, and takes all the blame upon himself. Tessa and Hardin drive far away from the town. Hardin tells Tessa that he wants to end their relationship because he is such a mess right now that he feels Tessa will only be hurt by staying with him. However, Tessa was not ready to abandon him during this difficult time, so she tries to calm him down. After this, they spend a romantic time together in the car. Following this, they both return to a hotel where Hardin tells Tessa to go upstairs to Christian while he goes to retrieve their bags. Upstairs, Tessa is opening up her heart to Christian's fiancée and her friend, Kimberly. She feels like she's going to collapse from trying to manage Hardin. She doesn't understand how to make this relationship work, but she wants to be with Hardin until the very end. At that moment, Christian arrives and tells Tessa that Hardin has left her and gone. Tessa is heartbroken. The scene shifts to Hardin, who has gone to his old friends to take some time away from the tension and figure out what to do next. But Tessa still doesn't give up on him and follows him to his location. When she arrives, she sees Hardin partying with other girls. Initially, Tessa gets angry and starts to leave, but then she stops and confronts him. She gives Hardin one last chance to save their relationship. However, Hardin was not in a state to accept, so he breaks Tessa's heart badly and leaves her alone once again. As always, he himself is not at peace but appears even more distressed. Tessa goes to her apartment to pick up some things. There, she starts seeing memories of the time she spent with Hardin everywhere. She then finds her dad, who had abandoned her in childhood and whom she had found as an addict in the last part, dead. Losing her dad after Hardin's departure is very heartbreaking for Tessa. She is completely shattered. Hardin's stepbrother, Landon, comforts her. Landon tries to call Hardin to tell him about the whole situation, but Hardin doesn't answer his phone. Landon takes Tessa and her dad's body to Tessa's hometown, to her mom, but Tessa's in shock and won't even speak to anyone. Finally, after so many calls from Landon, Hardin picks up the phone. Hearing about Tessa's dad's death, Hardin gets very worried for Tessa. At this moment, when he should be there to encourage her, Tessa isn't even ready to see him, let alone talk to him. Tessa goes to a spot where Hardin had promised her he wouldn't turn out like her dad, and that he would even stop drinking if she didn't like it. He has broken all his promises. Worried about Tessa, Hardin arrives at her mother's house, but Tessa refuses to see his face, so she leaves as soon as he enters the room. Hardin doesn't give up and follows her. He just sits by her in silence, and Tessa cries and unburdens her heart. The next day, Tessa's mom, who has disliked Hardin since day one because she feels he is exactly like Tessa's dad and can never make Tessa happy, talks to Hardin once more. She explains that even though he hasn't physically left Tessa, he is never really with her, and by doing this, he's only making her life difficult. She tells him that now he should do what is best for Tessa, and if Tessa wants to move on, he should let her go so she can see what is best for her. After this, Hardin goes to Tessa, whose stance is the same. She is exhausted. She can't keep sacrificing her own well-being to save their relationship. She wants to live, which may not be possible with Hardin. These words were harsh, but Hardin also knew they were all true. It has always been Tessa who fought for this relationship, while Hardin always backed away. In a new scene, Tessa's dad's funeral takes place. Tessa gives an emotional speech, but throughout the funeral, she avoids Hardin and leaves right after. When Tessa returns home, she tries to avoid the guests and is about to leave when she runs into Hardin again. Hardin tries to convince Tessa that they cannot live without each other, but Tessa no longer falls for his words because she has made up her mind. Finally, Hardin sadly leaves from there. After the funeral, when Tessa goes back, she tells Kimberly that she's thinking of making a new start, for which she has decided to move to New York with Landon to see what she wants from life while being away from Hardin. The scene shifts to Hardin, who goes to his dad and tells him that he is Christian's son. Despite this, their relationship does not end. Instead, it becomes stronger. Tessa goes to the doctor, and after some tests, she finds out that she cannot get pregnant even after treatments. She will either have to live without a child or adopt. This was the third big shock that completely broke Tessa. She drinks excessively. When Hardin calls her, he becomes worried and rushes straight to her place. Hardin puts the drunk Tessa on the bed. In her intoxicated state, Tessa says, "I love you," and asks him to stay with her. She reveals that she cannot get pregnant. Hardin becomes completely silent upon hearing this. Seeing this, Tessa feels hurt and starts to leave. Hardin stops her, calming her down and telling her that he just wants to be with her, and it doesn't matter if they have children or not. But even these words do not bring peace to Tessa because she feels Hardin is cheating on her with that party girl. Hardin assures her that there is no such thing because he cannot stay away from her even if he wants to. Just as they are normalizing the situation, they get a message from Hardin's dad, who has organized a family dinner before Landon leaves for New York. At the dinner, the entire family has a great time together. Landon introduces his girlfriend to his family for the first time. Everything was going well, but after dinner, Tessa reveals to Hardin that she is moving to New York with Landon. Hardin, who thought things were getting back to normal between him and Tessa, loses control again and starts fighting with Landon. But then, he controls himself and leaves without hitting Landon. Hardin begs Tessa not to leave him like this because he cannot live without her. But this time, Tessa neither gets emotional nor listens to him. Instead, she tells Hardin that if he truly loves her, he should leave her alone for some time so she can figure out what she wants. She also asks Hardin not to follow her. Hardin was not happy about this, but for Tessa's happiness, he keeps quiet. Tessa starts settling into New York, while Hardin begins attending counseling group sessions to manage himself. Tessa starts learning to live without Hardin and is happy. But Hardin is very distressed to see her happy without him, especially with another man. Landon tells Tessa that Hardin is coming to New York and will be staying with him. Since he is his brother, he couldn't refuse him. Tessa finds this strange but doesn't say anything to Landon. Instead, she agrees to work double shifts at her job so she won't have to see Hardin. But Hardin insists and comes to eat at the same restaurant where Tessa works. After that, he waits outside the restaurant all night for her shift to end so he can walk her home. On the way, Tessa gives a burger to a dog and tells Hardin to take care of it. She feels like she's taking care of her father. That night, Hardin can't sleep again because of bad dreams, so Tessa comes and calms him down. She hugs him and takes him to bed so he can sleep peacefully. Hardin starts waiting outside Tessa's restaurant every day so they can walk home together and spend time together. One night, while they are cooking at home, Tessa realizes that Hardin has changed a lot. Then she finds out that he has also quit drinking, is attending counseling sessions, and is very serious about his career. Tessa is very happy about this and starts flirting with him. But this time, Hardin controls his emotions and stops her, saying that he will not make the same mistake again and will not be physical with her until Tessa is fully ready to be with him. The next day, when Tessa returns from work, she finds out that Landon will be staying with his girlfriend. Seeing her so tired, Hardin starts giving her a massage. Seeing such a change in Hardin and him caring for her so much, Tessa can no longer control herself and they both start being romantic again. just like old times. The next morning, when Hardin goes for his meeting, Tessa finds a book in his bag that contains all the details of their relationship. When Hardin returns home, Tessa confronts him because she didn't want her life to be published as a book and become a source of entertainment for people. But Hardin tells her that the book has already been sent for publication. Hardin had no intention of doing all this, but during his sessions, when he was unable to open up, he was asked to write down his feelings. And as he kept writing, it turned into a book that a publisher really liked, and Hardin had come here to get it published. Tessa gets very angry hearing all this and ends her relationship with Hardin forever, leaving from there. After some time, Hardin's book is published and becomes a bestseller. After this, Hardin goes and shows the book to his mom and decides to forgive her and move forward. His mom looks very happy about this. Landon moves in with his girlfriend, and since Tessa is alone, she calls Landon's girlfriend's friend, Robert, to stay with her because she doesn't have many friends there. In the last scene, Hardin is seen reading his book in a bookshop in front of his friends, family, and fans. Tessa also comes but then quietly leaves, and Hardin just watches her go. At this moment, the movie ends and the couple still does not get a happy ending. The movie begins at a wedding venue and the voice of our hero, Hardin, is heard in the background. He says that true love never loses, it always finds its way. It seems as though Hardin and Tessa's love has finally triumphed, but this is only Hardin's thought. In the present, we see Hardin sitting alone, trying to write his novel. Tessa is once again upset with him because of the novel he wrote about her and his life. He published it without her permission. Since then, Tessa has been completely ignoring him and Hardin is shattered. He just wanted to show the world that a person can always strive for improvement, just as he did after meeting Tessa. But Tessa is fed up with his childish behavior and decides to leave him for good. Hardin's mistake was thinking he was writing his own story, but in reality, it was their story. After thinking all this, Hardin messages Tessa again. She was ignoring his messages, but finally, her reply comes. She tells Hardin to move on because she has already done so. Reading this message, Hardin feels as if someone has snatched his breath away, but he is still convinced that their story is not over yet, as he cannot imagine his life without Tessa. In the next scene, we see Hardin going to a club to meet his publisher. She tells him to quickly give her the draft for his next novel, because if he keeps delaying, people will forget him, and no one will want to read his novel again. Furthermore, the publisher had already given him an advance, which was putting more pressure on Hardin. She gets worried when she sees Hardin drinking, because before meeting Tessa, Hardin was an alcoholic. He had quit, but now that Tessa's gone, he has started again. Completely drunk and intoxicated, he starts seeing a girl dancing in front of him who looks like Tessa. Hardin can't stop himself and goes up to her and starts kissing her. After this, he goes home with his publisher and her friend. There, he falls asleep remembering Tessa, and the two women start enjoying themselves. The next morning, the two women are talking about Hardin. The publisher warns her friend to forget about Hardin because he still hasn't forgotten Tessa, and perhaps never will. He has made himself look like Ranja after here. Hardin overhears their conversation and finally sits up, irritated, so that they stop gossiping about him. He then leaves, saying he has a meeting, but we see that he has gone to meet his parents, who are very worried about him. Hardin still hasn't accepted the fact that the person he always thought was just his mother's good friend is actually his father. Both his parents try hard to make him understand, but Hardin is at a stage where he doesn't want advice from anyone. All he wants is Tessa's companionship. Finally, his father leaves due to a meeting. Hardin's mother suggests he take a vacation somewhere else for a fresh start so he can think about his future with a clear mind. She also mentions a woman named Natalie, and Hardin's ears perk up at the name. His mom tells him she hasn't talked much to Natalie, but she has moved on and is currently in Portugal. Back home, Hardin tries to write again, but eventually gives up and starts boxing to release his anger. All he can think of are those past moments where Tessa was with another guy. After this, he sees a picture of Tessa with a guy on Instagram, which further breaks his heart. In the next scene, we see that Hardin has taken his mother's advice seriously and is going somewhere for a fresh start. The air hostess asks him what he would like to eat, and Hardin asks for alcohol. She understands he's a failed lover, and seeing how handsome he is, she immediately starts flirting with him. Hardin takes her flirting seriously and begins to romance her in the corner. But in the very next scene, we realize this was just a dream. We are shown that Hardin has arrived in Portugal. He didn't go there for just anyone. He went after Natalie. After searching everywhere, he finally finds her shop. Natalie is shocked to see Hardin. Hardin tells her that he has come here to correct his past mistakes, but Natalie doesn't listen to a word he says, and citing that she is busy, sends him away. Finally, a disappointed Hardin leaves. He goes to a bar to drink, and we are shown a flashback from 5 years ago. Hardin was sitting in a garage with his friends playing cards when Natalie walked in. She had come to get her car checked, but since the owner wasn't there, she left. Behind her, Hardin and his friends start talking about Natalie, saying she is the most beautiful but also the only virgin girl in their college who won't give any guy the time of day. Hardin and his friends make a bet that Hardin will drive her crazy with his love and force her to lose her virginity. His friends were not willing to just take take his word for it and ask him to make a video, and Harden accepts the challenge. In the present, Harden receives a message from Natalie to meet, and he sends her his location. Past scenes are shown again, where Harden wins Natalie's heart and brings her to his room. He convinces her to make a video of their first romantic encounter as a symbol of his love, and the foolish girl agrees. In this way, Harden did what he promised and won the bet. Perhaps he is asking Natalie for forgiveness for this mistake. In the present, Natalie arrives to meet him. Both of them are very awkward, but still try to talk. Harden asks Natalie how she ended up here. She was supposed to go to university. Natalie tells him she lost her scholarship. In the midst of all the stress, she also forgot to apply for a student loan. Finally, since she had no support, she looked for a place that was affordable and where no one knew her, so she came here. Hearing all this makes Harden feel even more guilty, and he sincerely apologizes to Natalie, wishing he could go back in time to fix everything. But Natalie has moved on and tells him to do the same. After this, they go for lunch, where they spend some quality time together. Natalie had to leave for an important task, so they share another awkward hug. Before leaving, Natalie tells Harden that she read his book and liked it very much. Then she asks about Tessa. Harden says, with a heavy heart, that he ruined everything as always, and she left him. In the next scene, Harden tries to sleep and the scene goes back to the past. Natalie wakes him up crying, and Harden realizes that their video has gone viral. He goes to his friend in distress, the one who had sent the video to God knows who. Harden gets angry at him, but his friend shuts him up, reminding him that he himself made the video and sent it to his friend, so he is the one to blame. In the present, Harden wakes up remembering this. He can't sleep, so he tries to write something, but is unsuccessful at this too. Then Natalie calls him to the beach for a party. There, in front of everyone, she introduces Harden as her first crush. Seeing Harden open up and mingle with Natalie, her male friend gets jealous and challenges Harden to a cliff dive. Natalie forbids Harden from going, as it is dangerous, but Harden saw the challenge in the guy's eyes, so he agrees. After much hesitation, Harden finally jumps into the water. After a long time, when he doesn't surface, everyone starts getting worried. But nothing is going to happen to the hero. He surfaces cheerfully, tells everyone he was just teasing them, and then starts floating in the water. This is what he did in the first part of the movie when he took Tessa swimming, and Harden just watches. It was here that they also shared their first kiss, which was one of the cutest moments in the entire movie. When he comes out of the water, Natalie sits beside him and asks if he is okay. Harden, with tears in his eyes, says that he will be fine soon. We see that he is restless, pacing here and there, and pictures of him and Tessa are playing on his laptop. Finally, coming back inside, Harden gathers a lot of courage and texts Tessa, telling her that he is trying to be a better person for her and misses her very much. The scene shifts to Tessa, who wakes up, reads the message, and sadly puts her hand on the bed as if she wants to see Harden there. In the next scene, we see Harden and Natalie together again. After a morning walk, she takes Harden on a boat. They spend a good time together and try to forget their sorrows. Harden tells her that he is unable to write his second novel. When Tessa was in his life, everything was great, but now he doesn't understand life or what to write about in his next novel. When Natalie finds out that Harden published the novel without Tessa's consent, she feels very bad, because no one understands better than Natalie what kind of fear and pain a girl feels when any of her personal stuff goes public without her permission. Then Natalie shows Harden her dream house, which, seeing how far it is from the city, makes Harden feel very lonely. But Natalie says that if she were to live there with her life partner, she would probably be happy all her life. Hearing Natalie say this, Harden goes back to the past, where he and Tessa were sitting on a boat just like this, planning their future and to be happily together forever. At that time, neither of them might have thought what colors life would show. In the next scene, Harden goes to a party again with Natalie and her friends. Natalie goes to dance with her friends after Harden refuses, but her male friend comes up to Harden from behind. He tells him that even if Natalie doesn't tell him, he is sure that Harden is the guy who ruined Natalie's life. When she came here, she was completely tired of life, and now that she's better, Harden has come back to trouble her. A fight breaks out between the two over this issue, and no one can stop it. Finally, the male friend and his friends gang up and give Harden a good beating. The police finally arrive and stop them. In the next scene, we see Harden in jail. He wanted to become a better person, but ended up in jail. His father comes and bails him out, after which he again tries to reason with him. First, he gives Harden an invitation to his stepbrother Landon's wedding, because Harden isn't answering Landon's calls. After this, he explains to him that love is not about possessing. Just as his mother and father, despite loving each other very much, are happily married to other people, he can also move forward in life while keeping Tessa in his heart. New relationships by no means mean that old relationships should be forgotten, but if they are destined to be together, that will happen too, but in its own time. So Harden has to be patient. If he keeps doing what he is doing, Tessa will never come back into his life. After all these emotional talks, he tells Harden that he loves him very much and always will. Moreover, they will never stop supporting him, so Harden can come to them anytime. Hearing all this, Harden calms down a bit and decides to take the advice seriously, saying he will stay here for a while longer. In the very next scene, we see a new Hardin. He cleans the house, throws away all the alcohol, and tries his best to become a good person. Natalie comes there to check on him. She is very happy to see him moving towards improvement and, getting carried away, tries to kiss him. But Hardin pulls back because he doesn't want to do anything wrong with Natalie again. This increases his respect for Natalie in his heart, that she is willing to give him another chance despite everything. But Hardin still loves only Tessa, so he explains to her that Natalie deserves a person who can accept her with all his heart and give her all the happiness. Natalie is impressed by Hardin's words and leaves. After this, Hardin calls Landon and assures him that he will definitely come to his wedding. In the next scene, Hardin quickly writes his novel. After completing it, he goes to meet Natalie and gives her the draft to read. Natalie is surprised, but Hardin tells her that he is learning from his past mistakes. That's why he has come to her with the novel. Since Natalie is also in this novel, he needs her permission before publishing it. Natalie promises to read it soon and give him a reply. Hardin says goodbye to her and leaves for Landon's wedding. Spending his last moments in that city before the flight, Hardin only remembers his and Tessa's good memories. On the flight, he receives a message from Natalie who gives him permission to publish the novel. In the next scene, we see Natalie receiving a gift sent by Hardin in a parcel. It is the key to the very house that was Natalie's dream. The letter says that this is Hardin's small attempt to return her happiness. The scene shifts to Landon's wedding. Tessa is very nervous to face Hardin after such a long time. They just keep looking at each other at the wedding. Hardin's heart breaks when he sees Tessa laughing with another guy. Then his father and his wife come and tell him that this is just Tessa's friend. Upon hearing this, Hardin cleverly asks Tessa to dance and starts talking to her. They both start talking cutely again. The music stops and Hardin is asked to give a speech for Landon. He says that he is very happy for Landon that he found his love because no one knows better than him the pain of losing love. Hearing this, Tessa cries and leaves from there. Hardin follows her. Finally, both of them surrender to their love and decide to be together. They apologize for all their past mistakes and make a new start, which both of them had been eagerly waiting for. After this, Hardin proposes to Tessa for marriage and kisses her. In the last scene, we see Hardin entering a house where Hardin's cute family is waiting for him, consisting of Tessa, their daughter, and a baby on the way. With this, Hardin and Tessa's toxic love story reaches its conclusion, where they faced many difficulties, but in the end, their love triumphed. That's the full after story. After 2019. After We Collided, 2020. After We Fell, 2021. After Ever Happy, 2022. And After Everything, 2023. This recap took me a lot of time, so please like the video and subscribe to Go Recap for more movie stories. See you in the next one. This is Go Recap.